So, you want to know how to keep critters from eating all of your tomato plants because you've been eagerly anticipating tomato season, right? But at the same time, you don't want to spray a bunch of chemicals all over your plants. Well, I'm going to show you a way that you can protect your tomato plants without having to spray anything at all. Welcome to True Freedom Permaculture, where I show you all the tips and tricks you need to have a green thumb, even if you weren't born with one. Let's get started. Now, I've discovered this through a lot of trial and error, and as you can see, this plant a couple weeks ago, I noticed that something was eating it. I still don't know what it is. I suspect it's the deer, but something was definitely getting to it, so I knew I had to do something about it. And I tried this method, and as you can see, there are small tomatoes now beginning to form on this tomato plant. Whereas before, I wouldn't have even had the chance to see these fruit forming. They wouldn't have even been able to make it to this stage without something eating this plant. But now that this plant is completely protected, these fruit can form and eventually turn into tomatoes that we can eat. Most home growers use tomato cages. They provide a system of support for the tomatoes, and they also help to keep the fruit and the leaves off of the ground, which in turn helps to prevent disease. For this project, you're going to need the following items. Obviously, a tomato cage, some deer netting, some zip ties, or you can use twine. These zip ties I found in the electrical section of my local home improvement store, and a pair of scissors. Deer netting is going to be your friend here. I do try to limit my use of plastic, but deer netting is very resilient, so a lot of times it's in good enough condition that you can get another use of it for next season. So if it's in good condition, don't just throw it away, reuse it again. So you're going to just simply cut off a piece long enough to go around your tomato cage. I don't measure, I just wrap the deer netting around like this in order to get an approximation. Then I cut the deer netting. Now, wrap your cut piece of deer netting around your tomato cage and secure it with either pieces of twine or your zip ties. Trim off any extra netting or overhang. To make the zip ties a little bit more aesthetically appealing, you can cut off any ends. Now you have a layer of protection around your plant, but the sun and water can still come through and plenty of air can circulate around it. Once the tomato plant gets larger than its cage, which it inevitably will, you can take chicken wire, which is sturdier, to form a dome over the entire plant. I wish you lots of luck with this, as I know what it's like to take care of something, raising it from just a tiny seed or starter plant, only to be so disappointed later on when something eats it before you get a chance to. Tomatoes require a fair amount of water, so if you're growing a lot of these, I bet you're looking for ways to save on your water bill. Click on this video coming up here, and I'll show you some ways of conserving water in your garden. I'll meet you over there.